How's it going, guys? I'm here with another Deadlock guide, this time on what I think are the best and must know situational items. So, I've seen a lot of questions about people trying to make their own builds, or when do you build X item, when do you build Y item, how do you counter this character? So, this should answer a lot of those questions, and I'm just going to kind of go over what I think are the items you should always be kind of in the back of your head thinking, oh, should I buy this? Is this good? Will this fix my situation? We're going to start kind of with the early game cheaper items. And for my first pick is monster rounds. So 30% weapon damage versus NPCs, 30% bullet resist versus NPCs, 50 bonus health, 1 health regen. So when this says versus NPCs, that means jungle camps as well as enemy minions and enemy structures. So this is really nice, especially when you're split pushing and trying to take towers. And obviously very nice for going into the jungle, clearing camps quickly. I'll buy this anytime I'm feeling pretty behind. So whether this is early in lane or around the 10-minute mark when people start roaming a little bit more, if I'm feeling behind and I think I should just split push, I'm not really going to help in fights, or I need to be getting more of the jungle and I need to be trying to do camps in between waves, I'll pick this up. And it's a great choice on every character can use this. It's great on everybody. The next one we have is restorative shot. So 7% bullet resist and 7% weapon damage. So even without the passive, this is a pretty good amount of bullet resist. If you're in a lane against someone who's bullet heavy, could be a good choice. But the passive is the main draw here. 5.5 second cooldown, which is like nothing. Your next bullet will heal you based on what target you hit. 40 for heroes and 15 for NPC. This is a really good item when you're in lane and you're struggling a little bit. You feel like you need a little bit more sustain, and then specifically against bullet characters, this is a really good item just because that little bit of bullet resist it gives you. So if you're in lane and you're getting poked down a lot and you're looking for a little bit of sustain, this can be a very good choice. So the next item I have here, and I kind of have two grouped together, extra regen and healing right. So extra regen, 3 health regen, 10% ammo, and 25 bonus health. That 3 health regen is a lot in lane. It's a ton. If you've never bought this item, first item, second item in lane when you're against some characters who are really poking you a lot, Lady Geist, the Grey Talon, it's hard to appreciate how much health this ends up being. So any lane where I'm getting poked a lot and I'm taking a lot of incremental damage, where they're just, the enemies are really just trying to poke you down, Vindicta especially, this is a great choice. The other item is Healing Right. Healing Right gives you 55 bonus health and 3 spirit power. But additionally, it has the active ability where it grants regen and sprint speed to the target. It gets dispelled if you take damage from enemy players or objectives. Can be self-cast. So one important thing here to note is that it's only enemy players and objectives. So any jungle camps will not break the Healing Right buff. And kind of the way this plays out is you get low, you stick this on yourself, and it starts healing you over 19 seconds. If you take damage from a player, it's going to cut off the rest of that duration, and you're not going to receive the rest of that healing. So when you use this in lane, you're really going to want to hide, stay around the corner, still try to interact with the minion wave, but don't let the enemy hit you, because they're going to hear the sound of this going off, and they're going to try to stop you from healing. It's also really nice to put this on, go get a small camp, or if you're rotating, let's say you're playing a Moe and Krill and you want to go ult in another lane, this is great to, while you're rotating, put it on, heal yourself up, go take the fight, and then come right back to lane. Or take the fight, you get low, on your way back to lane, you can heal yourself up. This is a great item. You can take this on any character. It's less good if you're being poked a lot in lane. So, if a Vindicta's shooting you every time you pop out, this is going to be less good. But if you're fighting against, let's say, a Bebop who does the big hook, bomb, uppercut combo, and then he leaves you alone between those, this is a good choice. So the next item, and I see basically no one buy this, but this item's amazing, is Restorative Locket. It's another active. So first, 10% spirit resist, which is a lot, in lane against a spirit character. 5 spirit power, 1 meter per second of sprint speed. So the passive is whenever an enemy uses an ability within 50 meters range from you, you get a stack. 50 meters is huge, basically. Anyone in the lane uses an ability, or any enemy uses an ability in your lane, you're going to get a stack. Active, you consume all the stacks to heal a target ally and replenish a stamina point based on how many stacks. And of course, you can self-cast this. So this is really, really good in duo lanes because there's more abilities happening. And then anyone who's spamming abilities in lane, abilities with lots of charges. So I buy this against Shiv. And Grey Talon's also a great choice. This is a ton of healing. It will keep you topped off in lane constantly. Especially Shiv is very big right now, and a lot of people are complaining about him. You get low, he wants to dive you in lane. He's not ready for this. It's going to full heal you, basically. I mean, if you're a character with more base health, it won't quite top you off, but it's a ton of healing. So this is a really great item. Second, third in lane against Shiv, Grey Talon. Those are the 2 people I'd mostly buy it against. And it's also great that you can heal your allies, so it's a great kind of support item too. Next one I got here is Debuff Reducer. So 75 bonus health and 6% weapon damage. What we're here for is the passive. It reduces the duration of all negative effects applied to you. Now, the 2 characters I like buying this against are Abrams and Infernus. So Infernus is pretty self-explanatory. This works against his burns. A lot of Infernus is like buying monster rounds, works against that. It just really reduces almost reduces his damage by 30%. Pretty big. The Abrams, when he tries to do the charge into heavy punch combo, if you have debuff reducer, you're going to be able to parry this very easily, and it's going to catch a lot of Abrams off guard and by surprise. If they're not checking your items, you're going to get 1 free parry, and a lot of the times that can convert into a free kill. And if they don't know, if they're not super into their character and they don't understand this interaction, you're going to parry them a lot, and they're not going to know what's going on. One note about this Abrams interaction is if they buy Duration Extender, they can now heavy melee you again after that shoulder charge. So just check on his items and be careful. Most Abrams are not buying this item early. It doesn't do too much for his game plan, but they will buy it eventually, so just keep an eye on that. Next, we have Reactive Barrier. So this is 15% ammo, 75 bonus health, and 2 health regen, which is a good amount of health regen. But the passive is every 32 seconds, automatically deploy a temporary bullet and spirit shield when you are movement locked, stunned, chained, immobilized, or slept. So this is really good against any of those characters in lane who are trying to stun you and burst you down. This can be good against Grey Talon with his traps, but Seven with his stuns, Wraith lifting you. Anytime that you would get, stun Abrams with his shoulder charge, anytime you get heavily CC'd like this, you're going to get a huge shield. You're basically not going to take any damage, and you're just going to walk away from it. And the cooldown feels a little long at 32 seconds, but most of these big CC abilities, by design, also have long cooldowns, so you're not getting CC'd every 5 seconds, because that would feel terrible in lane. So even if the cooldown on their stun is 20 seconds, a lot of times they're not using it on cooldown. They're looking, they're positioning, they're looking for their moment. So if you're in lane and you're at least thinking about this a little bit, this is going to be up every single time you get stunned, and it's going to be huge. Next, I kind of have another item pair. So this is going to be Combat Barrier and Enchanter's Barrier. They do similar things, but one's for bullets and one's for spirit. So Combat Barrier, 325 bullet shield health. So that's just a shield. It's an extra amount of health that when it goes away, after some amount of time, you'll get all that shield back. So that's great, really good if you're fighting against bullet characters who are poking you down in lane, or really this is better for large burst. So if you have a Wraith who's lifting you and dumping her clip into you, this is really good for that. But what I feel like people sleep on this item is it's actually a half survivability, half damage item, because this passive, while you have bullet shield, gain weapon damage and fire rate. That's a huge amount of weapon damage and fire rate for what you're getting here. Obviously, it only works while you have the shield up, but you know, this is a really, really solid laning item when you're fighting a bullet character and you're a bullet character yourself and you care about your gun. This really helps swing the lane in your favor. The same thing about Enchanter's Barrier, but I like Enchanter's Barrier a little bit more. It's 300 Spirit Shield health, and then the passive is while you have Spirit Shield, you get Spirit Power and cooldown reduction. This is amazing. It's a ton of Spirit Power. The cooldown reduction is really, really nice. A lot of times the Spirit damage on most of the characters comes in big bursts anyway. Grey Talon, Paradox, Bebop. So Bebop hooks you, does his whole song and dance, and a lot of that gets eaten by this Spirit Shield. And then by the time his abilities are back up, your Spirit Shield's back up. So this is super good for lane survivability against those types of characters. These are very, very excellent items. You can buy them on any character in any matchup, basically. The next item is Return Fire. So 125 bonus health, 9 Spirit Power. That's fine. What we're here for is the active. Automatically fire a bullet towards any attacker who damages you with their abilities or weapon. So it's abilities or weapon. You return 60% of the bullet damage and only 30% of the spirit damage. But additionally, and this a lot of people don't recognize, is while you have this on, you also get 20% bullet resist, which is a lot. This is very, very good against Haze. Obviously, when she ults, if you put it on early game, if she ults you and you put on Return Fire, you're going to win that fight if you're even. I mean, a good amount of the time, this really swings that very heavily, and they're not quite ready for it. But it's also really good against Wraith. When you hear that she's going to lift you, you just turn this on, and she can't really fight you after that. I mean, it's pretty tough if you guys are even on health. She's really leaning into that lift to kind of win her that fight, and suddenly you're back on even ground. Also, this lasts 7 seconds, which is forever in Deadlock. I mean, this is really great item. You can keep this into the late game. It scales great into the late game if you're a little bit of a tankier character. But if I'm laning against the Haze or any kind of bullet heavy character that's trying to dump their entire clip into me, this is a great buy. The next one is going to be our first spirit item. This is going to be Slowing Hex. So it's 1 meter per second sprint speed, which is basically nothing, and 5 spirit power. So we're not buying this for the passive on, we're buying it for the active. The active, it deals spirit damage and slows targets' movement and dashes. Also silences their movement-based items and abilities. Does not affect target stamina usage. So who is this good against? If you're playing a character where you want to rotate and gank and try to make things happen early game, like Lash, Mo, and Krill, this can be good just for being aggressive. You dump the slowing hex on them. It makes it really hard for them to run away. But who this is really good against are characters that rely heavily on their movement abilities, either to fight you or escape. Against Shiv, this is excellent. It stops his dash, which is his big damage ability. And even late into the game, this is a huge nuisance for him to deal with. But this is also really good against Grey Talon, Vindicta, Lash. So these characters are trying to use their abilities to jump into the air to get away from you. Jump slowing hex on them, they're sitting ducks. Most players rely so heavily on these escape abilities that once you slowing hex them, that's it. They have all their eggs in this movement escape basket and they don't have it anymore and they just die. If you play these characters and you've been slowing hexed, you know exactly what I'm talking about. So this can be a really good early game buy if you're doing good in your lane or you're looking to get these kills. This is excellent. Or if you're struggling with Shiv, or Abrams is another great character to use this against because it stops him from using his shoulder charge. This can help you fight those characters and win these fights in lane. We're going to go to our mid-game items here. These are a little bit more expensive. I buy them after about the 15-minute mark, kind of as needed. And first one is going to be Toxic Bullets. So Toxic Bullets, 100 bonus health, which is a good amount. But the passive is your bullets build up a bleed on enemies, causing them to lose a percentage of their current health over time. Also applies healing reduction on the bleeding target. So the big thing you're buying this for is the healing reduction. Against, once again, Shiv, he's very top of mind right now. He's very strong. But any character that, when you get into a fight with them, and, win, lose, draw, doesn't matter, you think, man, I was shooting them and hitting them with all my abilities and they just healed through it. If you're a gun character, or anyone with some kind of machine gun, even if you're playing Ivy and you're building Spirit Ivy, this can be a good choice. This is excellent to fight the healing. A note, you need to build it up so it's not instant. It takes a second, which is why I recommend it for the machine gun characters. But, Haze, Lady Geist, Mo and Krill with his healing, this can be very good against Shiv, Abrams. Anytime you feel like that your opponents are out healing you or out sustaining you in a fight, think about this item. And I put this more as a mid-game item. I don't think it's as good as in lane. It's a little expensive for that. It is Heal Bane, 75 bonus health. Passive, your spirit damage applies healing reduction. And then an additional, people really miss this on this item. If an enemy hero dies under this effect, you receive a large heal. This can save you. It saves people all the time. People go, why'd I just heal a bunch? Probably Heal Bane. What's nice about Heal Bane is you can instantly put it on somebody. Any spirit damage is going to apply this instantly. It's not like the toxic bullets where you have to build it up. But you do need to hit them with some sort of spirit damage. So characters who can continuously deal small amounts of tick damage, this is better on. It's pretty good on Infernus, but I mean, not that you would build it because you're building toxic bullets, but something like that where you're dealing a tick of damage, this is really, really good. Almost any character buy this side. It's great. Every single game scales really good into the late game. Next item is Metal Skin. So 125 bonus health, 8 spirit power, 8% fire rate. But the active is become immune to bullets and melee attacks for 3.5 seconds. And it only has a 20-second cooldown. If you're fighting against a Haze, and the Haze is doing moderately well to great, everyone on the team should have this. It invalidates her ultimate ability if you use it and you don't get silenced or whatever. You just Metal Skin, you roll, jump out, that's it. Her ultimate doesn't do anything anymore, and a lot of Hazes just kind of break down after that. This is also really good against Wraith. She lifts you, you hit Metal Skin. But really, any game where you're being shot at, if you're getting bursted down, you really feel like you're getting focused, this can be a good pickup. Very strong. 3 seconds of immunity is a really long time. Typically, it's enough time to get you out of trouble. And if it isn't enough time to get you out of trouble, you're probably not in a good position to begin with, or you got caught out. So things happen. One note is when you use Metal Skin, say you're shooting at someone and your opponent uses Metal Skin, your character is going to shout out something like, hey, they have metallic skin, they can't be hurt. So that's a little sound cue that you can listen for if you think someone's using Metal Skin, but also they're going to get all chromed up like that future SpongeBob episode, so you'll see it. Next on Spirit, I have every single one of these Spirit actives. These are all great situational items. The first one is Ethereal Shift, and you may notice there are no passive stats on this one. Most of these items give you random something, health, spirit power, whatever. This doesn't give you anything. This is all in the active ability, but it's a sweet one. You enter a void state and become untargetable and invincible for a short duration, during which you can't move, perform any actions, nothing. Afterwards, you instantly reload and you gain bonus spirit power. So this is amazing anytime you feel like you're the focus of a fight. Especially if I'm super ahead, if I feel like I'm carrying my team. I'll buy this because it gives that 3.5 seconds of invincibility, but it's so much more than that, especially when you use it well in a game. If you are getting jumped on, you see Dynamo, you see Kelvin puts his orb on you, Haze uses her ult, Bebop uses his ult, and you Ethereal Shift. It's such a long time to be there and be invincible. And you'll find situations where the entire enemy team's shooting you, you Ethereal Shift. So for the first second of this, unless they're pretty sharp, they're not going to know what's going on, and they're going to waste time shooting at you, using abilities, whatever. So it's almost like there's a little stun in there. And then if you are near any allies or anything else that's going on, they're not going to sit there and wait for this to wear off. They're going to start doing something else. After a second, they'll be like, all right, I'm going to shoot Viscous. I'm going to shoot someone else. And then at 3.5 seconds wears off, you have about a second to roll and get out of there before people realize that you're not shifted and you're vulnerable again. This item is amazing. There's a reason there's no passive effects on it. Give this one a try. Really think about using it. It's incredibly strong and has won me so many fights. I can't count. This is super amazing on Shiv. Be able to use all your cooldowns, hit it, and then while you're shifted, your cooldowns come back and you come out fighting again. Next one's Knockdown. 1 stamina, 200 spear shield health, 6 spear power. Target is knocked down and stunned after a 2-second delay, interrupting and temporarily preventing them from taking any action. So this is basically just a 1 second stun after 2 seconds. But it also comes with a knockdown effect. So this is really, really good against Vindicta and Grey Talon. If they're up in the air, this thing has a huge cast range. You'll be able to cast it on them, and this is going to bring them back to the ground. So really great for killing those 2 characters. But the stun can also be used to stop channeling abilities. So I'm mostly thinking about Bebop, Seven, these people that have these really long channel abilities where you can dump this on them, hide away from these abilities, and then knock them out of it. Mostly if you're a character who doesn't have inherent stuns, this can be kind of a nice flex option there. This is better on characters that want to be close up. If you're playing Seven, for example, and you want to be in the back shooting at your enemies, you're not going to really find an opportunity to knock down Vindicta. This is better on a Lash, a Yamato, someone who wants to go in there and really get into the fight and try to, assassinate these characters. Next one I have Silence Glyph. 150 spear shield health, 1 meter per second sprint speed. Active, fires a projectile which silences and damages the target. Silence does not interrupt channeling abilities, so this will not stop a Haze in mid-ult, this will not stop a Bebop in mid-ult. That's not what this is for. This is kind of the big brother to slowing Hex. Now, it doesn't slow them, but it does kind of the similar thing where it's going to stop them from using their abilities for those 3 seconds. So you can sell slowing Hex for this at some point. What I really like this for is very specifically Lady Geist. So I'm sure you've been in a really frustrating situation where you're fighting a Lady Geist, you get her really low. Oh, she health swapped you, now she wins the fight. Haha, you lose. This defeats that. So when she gets low, dump the silence on her, and then you kill her. She's a sitting duck. A lot of Lady Geists rely on that ability really hard, and they're not ready to be silenced. So they pick these fights, they're like, oh, I'm just going to health swap them, I'm going to win this fight. They're big idiots, but they're really the idiot. You got them. Be careful, because if the Geist is good, and you should assume all your opponents are good, they're going to start health swapping much earlier, 50% life. They're not going to wait till the very last second. So I like to use this if I think I'm going to be able to kill them in 3 seconds, but you can even use this a little bit before then. If it takes you 4 seconds to kill somebody, they're not typically sitting there mashing their ult, trying to get it out the second the silence finishes. A lot of times they're dashing, they're moving, they're trying to be evasive, they're trying to shoot you. It doesn't stop them from shooting you. And so they won't catch immediately when their ult comes off cooldown. Additionally, you just make the space and make it so they can't ult you. You'll see a lot of Lady Geists, they get low, they roll in, boom, that's when you silence them, because they're getting close, and this is the only thing they ever want to be close to do. So, Silence Glyph, again, great on any character, super strong ability, very small cooldown, just use it. So last, we got these late game items. There's only a handful of these. They're pretty expensive, but I feel like these are still very good on all the characters. It's definitely worth a thought. The first one is Shadow Weave. I never see anyone buy this item, but it's an all-star. So 15 health regen, which is ludicrous, but is really nice. 30 spear shield health, 30% ammo. But we're buying it for the active. So you become stealth. Whenever you take damage while stealth, you briefly get revealed. Additionally, attacking or using an ability will end your stealth and start an ambush. So if you get hit, or if you shoot or use an ability or something during this, you're going to lose your stealth. But when you do an ambush, you temporarily get yourself bonus fire rate and spirit power. So what do I buy this for? When am I using this? I will buy this if I'm doing a lot of split pushing. If I think that my team, they keep doing 5v6s on the other side of the map, they're just playing team deathmatch, they're not fighting over objectives, they're just running in, and I feel like I need to get walkers and things down, I'm going to go for Shadow Weave. I think this is great. It lets you shoot down walkers. If you think someone's coming, you just pop Shadow Weave and you just walk away. A lot of times, even if you pop this as they're coming in and you get a roll away, they lost you. I mean, it's so hard to find someone who stealths, as long as you stealth before they actually start fighting you. But more than that, even more than that, is this ambush ability is insane. 8 seconds of 30% fire rate and 55 spear power is so much. You don't even need to use this as like, oh, I'm going to stealth in and make some kind of play. You could just be in a fight and you just pop Shadow Weave like a steroid. Don't even think about the stealth on it. Treat it like Wraith's third ability, where she gets a bunch of attack speed. This just gives you a bunch of attack speed and damage. Use it all the time. It's amazing. Next is Unstoppable. I buy this item probably once every 3 games. This is one of the better items in the game. Every character should be buying this. If you've never bought this item, I think you're playing the game incorrectly. It's amazing. So 150 bonus health, 15% spear resist, which is a lot of spear resist. This is one of those random items that has spear resist on it. That's really, really good. 1 meter per second move speed. So this isn't sprint speed. This is move speed. This is all the time. 12 spear power. The active is temporarily suppress negative status effects and become immune to stun, silence, sleep, root, disarm. Cannot be used while stunned or slept. So if you are Mo and Krill ulted, you are not going to be able to use this. You have to use it proactively. But, you know, if you have a Mo and Krill coming at you, if you see he's running at you, if you have a Dynamo running at you, if you hear Lash's ult go off, if you have Wraith and you hear she's lifting, you just hit this and it just saves you. Even if you don't know you're going to get CC'd, if you're not in one of those very obvious situations and you just start a fight, just hit it. It's 6 seconds of CC immunity, and every character in the game is going to do something to you, whether it's a sleep or a slow or a silence. It doesn't matter. Just use it. This wins fights. It wins games using Unstoppable. If you are playing Haze and you are doing well, you should buy Unstoppable. It stops people from knocking you out of your ult, which is, unless you're in really low ELO, is going to happen every single time you ult. Every game I play in with a Haze, I'm looking, if Haze is my opponent, I'm paying attention after about the 15-20 minute mark, and I'm calling out to my team, hey, Haze hasn't bought Unstoppable yet. Or, hey, Haze has bought Unstoppable, be careful. Or, hey, Haze just used Unstoppable, it's going to be down for a minute. It's that integral to the game at that point that she can use her ult and not be touched for 6 seconds. Absolutely amazing item. If you're getting stunned and killed in any fights after the 20-minute mark, you should be buying this. It's so important. So the last item I have here is Curse. And this has kind of been our, we built up to this. First we had Slowing Hex, which slows them, stops movement abilities. Now we have Silence Glyph. Silences all their abilities. This is the big daddy of this ability chain here. So 20% weapon damage, which is a lot, especially if you're a weapon character and you aren't using your spirit slots. Amazing. 8 spear power, fine. Act. Curse an enemy, interrupting, silencing, disarming, and preventing item usage for 3.25 seconds. This sucks so bad. If the first time everyone ever gets hurt by Curse, they say, what is happening? Why can't I hit any of my buttons? What's going on? It's so disorienting the first time you get Cursed because you can't do anything. All you can do is walk around. It feels terrible. For a lot of characters, 3.25 seconds of no abilities is death. They just die. So this is, again, any character can buy this. Better on frontline characters, but good on anybody. And the time to buy this is anytime they have one character on their team where you go, you know, if we could only kill this Shiv, we would win. Or if we could only kill this Dynamo, we would live. Curse is your friend. That has been my short guide on situational items. I hope you learned something, and I think, honestly, if you're in the back of your head thinking about these items, anytime you're in these tough situations, you're proactively thinking is, oh, what could help me here? What can I go off of my build to change the situation? I really recommend using the build guides. They're excellent. People put a lot of time into them, but that person who spends 200 games playing Vindicta crafting this guide they don't follow that guide item for item every single time. They're putting in these items and they're swapping out these different situational items, I said, because there are some games where just debuff reducer wins you your lane, or combat barrier wins you your lane. Really have these items in the back of your mind, and if you buy them in the correct situations, your win percentage will go up. I guarantee it. Best players are buying these items when they are important. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out and watching this video. I hope you learned something. Good luck out there. Remember to comment and subscribe. I read all the comments and reply to them. And good luck out there.